Welcome everybody at Delta Trends Day. It's first time for me to be here and I'm very glad to welcome here. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person because I have to travel as a diplomat. That's my main job. But particularly glad I'm here to be because I'm actually alumni of Tartu University. It's my alma mater, and I'm also alumni of actually economic faculty. So that's where I've studied and that's where I get the bachelor degree from. And I guess this is also the background why today I'm standing here before you as Undersecretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, responsible for international trade, business relations and development cooperation. So you might ask, how does the economic studies coincide with diplomacy? And I think that's critical to have this kind of background, because in the current turbulent times, something that you have studied that's wide, that gives you different perspectives, gives you analytical powers to make the connections between economy, the trends, the trade, the future technologies, innovation, whatever you think that is not diplomacy, these days is diplomacy. So I would like to kick off with putting you into, or framing you a picture. Imagine standing at the edge of the stormy sea. So the waves crash, the wind howls, and the horizon is uncertain. I think that's something where we stand today as diplomats, as world, as Estonia in it. Russia's unjustified aggression against Ukraine, the uncertainties about international trade regulations or populist movements that challenge democratic values are not just anything that's far or distant headlines. It's part of our daily lives. That's where we operate. So additionally, the power that was aimed to tame that sea, that we call usually the nuclear weapon of small states, the international rules-based order, is something that's still there, but it's not always followed. The previously signed agreements or reached common understandings are also still there, but not necessarily taken care of. So amid this daily, sometimes hourly changing information and environment, that's where we as diplomats need to navigate. We have to be agile, quick, and also operative. So that's also the power of Estonian diplomacy today. We as a small nation know what it means to be occupied. We have our history. We have lost our independence, and we know why diplomacy matters. It's not an abstract concept. It's something that has given us a voice, and that's a lifeline for now and for the future. It connects us with allies, it amplifies our voice, and secures also our future. So this is something that turns the confrontation into conversation, and it also, without it, the chaos, which we actually in the international policy live in at the moment, the chaos becomes conflict without diplomacy. With diplomacy, the chaos can become a cooperation, and that's the work that we aim to do. We are small. Estonian diplomats are more or less about 300 people officially. But I guess today everybody who works in the public service is somewhat a diplomat. So we know today the main rule or the main point that we follow is when you yell loud enough, you might not listen to. But if you keep silent, you will not be noticed. So we have to kind of dose our messages very clearly, what we are aiming at and what sheds the light to this current darkness. Because, let's be assured, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So we as members of European Union, NATO, know that this is something where we are given the voice together in the same level as any other state in these alliances. There might be times where the logic was, and we said that, we used that we are ready to join the consensus. These times are far over. We have to think through what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, how we turn our weaknesses to strengths, and how we bring forward the message that strengthens not only us here at the eastern border, here in the Northern Europe, here in the EU, but in the wider world. And let me give a couple of examples in that regard. Estonia is actually a leading voice currently in this turbulent world. Our foreign policy is very simply said, standing in the three pillars. We do everything to limit the possibility of the aggressor of Russia to continue with its warfare. So we are the ones, and I can proudly say that the Estonian diplomats very strongly stand, for example, that the sanctions that are put to Russia are stronger, wider, and also deeper. We are the ones who prepare the packages, in many cases, that European Union has adopted. Moreover, we see that there is no possibility or no readiness of the member states of European Union to join into the sanction Russia. There is a possibility to put trade barriers. So we are in the front of core group that is ready and fighting for setting the higher tariffs to the goods that go out of Russia. Key element of that is making the aggressor accountable. In the same way, Estonia is the one who sits in the front seat to push ahead the tribunal that takes Russia's blames, that prepares the accountability and the possibility that Russia to be accountable. But also, key topic currently is unmobilized Russian assets that we think should be used right now for Ukraine to help them to win the war. Second pillar, we do everything we can to support Ukraine. We do it militarily, economically, financially, politically. We are one of the countries in our smallness. We are one of the biggest contributors per capita. So we have shown that it's possible to support recovery and reconstruction of Ukraine already now. We started in 2022, in second half of the year where the war started. We were the first country who responded to President Zelensky's call to take over a patronage of one region in Ukraine and start from there. So we have shown with our leadership that's possible. We are on the ground and we can act. So many of the other countries so far and donors have joined us, our forces, but also joined Ukraine in their making their life better and building back better. And the third pillar is isolating Russia in international fora as much as we can. Also here we can see that our voice has a power. The latest was last evening, where in United Nations resolution was adopted that said that Russia is responsible and everybody has to support the fact that the Ukrainian children deported by Russia to Russia has to be brought back. There was overwhelming support to that, and Russia was standing alone with 11 other countries not to supporting it. So we have pushed for sanctions, advocated for Ukraine's EU membership and coordinated aid. We have been loud, clear, consistent, because silence would mean complicity, and that's what we cannot allow. So we have been able to mobilize alliances, isolate the aggressor, and sustain solidarity. And through that, we can show that Ukraine is not standing alone, that Ukraine stands with Europe. But our voice is not enough. So we have learned throughout difficult times that you need to build different alliances than eventually before. For example, the team also, Delta Trends, is Nordic-Baltic cooperation. So that's a key element currently in diplomacy, and that cooperation between the 8 countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Iceland, Denmark, has a complete new standing. there are daily communications and SMSs, chats, all the new means that are there. So diplomacy is not anymore something that you think that, there was a diplomat walking with a piece of paper to next country. It took a week. The information flow is quick, easy, and that makes us, again, somewhat the superpower, because our circles are very small, very united, and our decision-making bodies are much more agile than sometimes the others. So we work very strongly in an Nordic-Baltic cooperation. We coordinate our messages in the EU, in NATO, in the world. And next year also Estonia is leading that group. We coordinate what we do, how we do, where we act and how we act. So we have actually a leading role. We're sitting on the front seat. And this role of Estonia in this group is also something to bridge between Nordic pragmatism and Baltic urgency, I would say. So we show that there can be, that things happen when there is a leader. So it's good to be there. I wanted to address also the current challenges in the current world and the current diplomatic and political context, which we are often asked. Is diplomacy something that still is relevant? Is it important in the times of AI, technology, quick information sharing, and everything that's there? My absolutely strong belief is that AI will never take over diplomacy, because diplomacy is somewhat, which I would say, it's a fine-tuning of messages, delivering in the way that you can convince the other side that your message is actually something that the others can believe in. There are many different definitions what diplomacy is or what it is not. One of those that's commonly used is it's a way to tell somebody to go to hell in the way that the person is looking forward to it. So AI will never be able to deliver that, will never ever take over that how you bring the message across, what is the charm, how is it hostile, is it positive, how to convince the other side of that your approach is something to follow eventually. So AI will never be successful in this time. I touched shortly about the importance of information. What AI can do, and already does, and helps us as diplomats to gather the information, to have quick assessments, to have a background information very fast or faster than ever before. It helps us also to set agendas, to streamline certain activities, but it doesn't replace us and never will. So, and information as such is become very critical. The critical of understanding and assessing, where does it come from? Is it true? Is it false? How do I assess that? How can I react based on this that I know? And is this information that I know, is there based on facts? Because diplomacy works on facts. We build rhetorics around it, but facts are the core. So media literacy, to understand where's the source, how to compare it, how to test if it's true or false, is something that's really critical in current times. And everybody, I think really everybody, should understand that, starting from the schools, universities, kindergartens. I travel a lot and I have many conversations of taxi drivers, for example, or people around the world. It's interesting to see and understand that their informational source is completely different than ours. And then we reach quite quickly, even when we have different opinions, reach to the understanding that his or her opinion is different because it has a different source of information. And when I, for example, have addressed just recently in Africa a Zimbabwean taxi driver, asking that I know where your information comes from and your understanding therewith about what is NATO, what is not NATO, what is happening in Russian aggression of Ukraine. So, and he understood that actually he was given information that might not be true. But reach that understanding is already a step forward to be better of explaining, understanding, and literally being better in diplomacy. So I would like to finish up maybe with a couple of thoughts, saying that diplomacy in current era is kind of a front line of all that is happening in the world. Diplomacy is not only delivering the message. Diplomacy today is also talking about trade, energy, climate, what climate will bring to us, how the trade lines, the supply chain affect our future, what can we do to secure our supply chain, what can be our role as Estonia, for example, also in the supply chain of critical minerals. So all of that, very detailed, very technical, is also diplomacy, and it goes through every line of life. So to come back to the metaphor that I had in the beginning, I would say that Estonia is a small ship on the stormy sea. We don't have necessarily all the weapons or treasure, but what we have is a clear compass, our values and our aims. And we should, and we are expressing that very clearly. So this is something that we need. It's not optional. In this era of chaos, it's a necessity. Thank you so much.